Welcome, everyone, to the Unshakable Courage Show. I am your host, Kim Glass, and our show is about helping people face reality, release their fear, and live with power. We're continuing our conversation today about irrational fears. Did you know in a survey prior to the pandemic, 84% of people live with an irrational fear that's keeping them awake at night and unable to achieve their personal or business goals? I am so excited to be on a mission that launched as I was on tour in my own book, Unshakable Courage, and have just been continuing the conversations and meeting incredible people along the journey. So today, I want to introduce you to some special guests that are so courageous and have such incredible stories of what they have overcome. But not only that, on the other side of that, how are they serving people and helping people in their field? So, without further ado, I want to bring on our special guests, Andy and Bhakti. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, when I
Thank
think
you, Kim.
about Yes, when I think about the little bit of knowledge that I have about your story and how you so both brilliantly explained your story in the Fearless Entrepreneurs book that just launched last week. Andy, I'm going to start with you and wondering, can you share to our listeners what is something that you have overcome either in your personal life or your business life?
Yeah, so I guess in my personal life, I'll share. Thank you for hosting the show first of all. But yeah, I like to share something about my personal life. I guess the one of the fears that I encountered for my personal life is not accepting what other people are telling you, and to be fearless about finding answers on my own, right? As for my business life, the biggest fear that I had was actually transitioning from one industry that I was specialized in for like 30 years and then going 180 degrees and jumping totally into a different industry. So once again, I think as entrepreneurs, we have to see where our lives want to take us, and we need to be fearless to jumping into our next journey.
That is so powerful, Andy, what you said, because we often talk about the fear of the unknown, and we get comfortable in one way of doing things or one industry of working. And just like yourself, I was over 20 years in the telecom industry and then became an entrepreneur and a business owner. There's a lot of different hats that you wear along that journey. And so I thank you so much for sharing that. And I know with our listeners that are joining us today, the pandemic last year brought a lot of changes, a lot of uncertainty, not only in the health aspect, but in our business aspect. And so we're going to talk with you just a little bit further about some insights that you had and what you overcame. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Kim.
And then Bhakti, would you unmute and would you share with our listeners a little bit about your story and what you have overcome of a fear and how you have moved through that with courage?
Well, back when I was 28, I'd been married and divorced twice, had a son I couldn't support, and was fired from every job I ever had. And what do? I ended up learning how to meditate. My transition to civilian life from being a combat veteran in Vietnam was horrible. And they said to meditate every day. I meditated twice a day. And fast forward 20 years later, I've got all the boxes checked on living the American dream, president of a locally based national company, consulting with other companies, able to go anywhere, do anything I want, anytime I felt like it. But when I was brutally honest with myself, I just knew there had to be more to life than what I was experiencing. And I ran into this ancient practice, so I'm able to live my life from the part of myself that's not of this world instead of the the ego-based self with all the thoughts and the conversations going on in my head and everything like that. It just makes life much easier.
So true, Bhakti. I understand a lot about meditation. You know, we often talk about faith, and you know, whether that wherever that faith is an anchor for you, but also the importance of that, because keeping that hope alive and continuously moving forward, you know, through all the ups and downs. You know, we speak a lot about entrepreneurship, and you know, I often tell my clients, you know, um, it's not linear. That path is linear. It's more likened to a roller coaster. And I don't know about you, but I want to be on the front row of any roller coaster with my hands up and having a great time. And so when I think about entrepreneurship and I think about all the different hats that we're wearing and all the challenges that we're facing, you know, how do we get to that? And who's that next person that we want to meet? So back to you, Andy. What is something that changed for you that you could share with our listeners today? So you had this experience, and then what was either the light bulb moment, or what was something that you shifted for yourself personally to help you on your path?
Well, basically what changed with me is like I had a traumatic accident that degraded my body over time. And being young during the time, I thought I was invincible, that it's just a few aches and pains, grit your teeth and get through with life. That's just how life is. All the doctors, all the specialists, they told me that it'll get worse over time. You're just gonna have to accept it. But as I got in, over the years, and as I got into my early 40s, I see my dad, his Parkinson's got really bad. He got put into the hospital. And I saw how that affected my family, how it affected my mom. At that point, my parents were never really loving. But, in the last few years, everything changed. And then I was looking back at my life and I was saying, wow, my health has been so bad. And I'm seeing how it's affecting my wife's life. It isn't about our own lives. Sometimes we always think about me, 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 me. We don't think about all the people that we're affecting around us. And during that time, I've already seen so many doctors over the last 20 years, so many specialists, and they kept telling me the same thing. And then I just thought to myself, well, what's the definition of insanity? Just doing the same thing over and over again. I just kept going to the same doctors, keep hearing the same thing. If I don't do something different, that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be like my dad. I'm going to be in a hospital, having my wife take care of me for the rest of my life. So when I turned 43, I was thinking, well, this is a midlife crisis. Something needs to be changed. And that's when, I gave up my passion for cars, and I changed my, my passion to look into health. And I actually started healing myself through my own research.
Wow, that's so incredible, Andy. We talk a lot about either breaking generational patterns because we don't want to do that thing that we've seen before. And so I'm just so inspired by your story, what you've come through, and the shift that happens. We often talk about the ripple effect, and we often talk about the good of the ripple effect. And then there's also, like you mentioned, the ripple effect that could happen if you didn't do something. And so I love those analogies to your story. And I'm excited to hear more about your business in just a moment. But now we're going to go to Bhakti. And can you share with us? I know that you talked about, the transition that you had and how meditation was so important for you. But can you give us a little bit more detail about what that looks like?
Well, yes, with the practice that I use now, which is beyond meditation and is very ancient, and to be able to make a decision to choose a very simple statement of pure truth and circumvent all the mental constructs of the mind and rest on that still silent place within, which is the one that we all are, we already are that, is everything. To be able to live from that ongoing is unbelievable. I mean, there was a study done, a survey of 1,000 people globally that have been doing the practice regularly for a year, and 97% had more joy, peace, and happiness in their life than they had before. we did a similar survey here a couple of years ago, and 85% had more peace, joy, and happiness in their life after 5 weeks. After 8 weeks, it was 92%. So, I mean, coming from a corporate background, I like to look at stats and see what the results are. And it was just quite amazing to me. And that's why I reach out and share this with people, that they can have something else other than, just dealing with that ego-based mind that we have had the opportunity to live with.
Yes, I find that so interesting because there was one key word that you said that I often refer, and it's making a decision. I often say yes and let the path unfold. It's not that we have to have it all figured out, but I can understand to an extent, like in your practice, like there's so many things that are happening around us. And trying to get those blinders on to trigger, oh my goodness, I need to break away here and I need to go meditate or do something different. So, can you lead us to kind of what that looks like? So, if we have a listener today that's just kind of in overwhelm and it's like, okay, I've got these 37 things that I really need to do, but I'm really on the last leg of being able to get all this done. Can you just give us a tip on what you would generally advise someone that's in that situation to help them get to the place that they can begin meditating?
Okay. Yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice in each moment, because the only moment that one can really live is this moment. Our mind has a tendency to go backward and forward in time, which is the biggest, obstacle to being present. And, it's just a choice in each moment, just to let it all go and just be here now. And what we have is a tool that actually does that. And that's the beauty of it. But it's the single choice in each moment. I mean, psychotherapy 101 says, stop, think, and choose. Choose if this action is going to, be beneficial, and what the results of this action are going to be is what they say. And, it's just very simple. It's just, choose. Our thoughts are objective to who we are. We think they're ours, but they're not. They're just moving through. And it's just to watch and then choose to be still.
That is so incredible. And I love your insights on that, because the choosing, the slowing down and the stopping, and then choosing what that thing is that we need to be mindful of. So thank you so much for sharing that. And Andy, so you referenced a little bit about health and fitness, and I would love for you to give us an example of someone kind of similar. Like, okay, I have all these things going on. I don't have time right now to stop and take care of myself and my health. That is so critical. Like, if we're not taking care of our health, then who can do that for us? So, can you share some insights on that for our listeners as well?
Of course, Kim. I think more so than, more important now than anything else, the pandemic going on, it is very important to be very healthy. Regardless if it's the coronavirus, the flu, whatever it may be, if you get sick, the healthier you are internally, the better of a chance you're going to be able to fight off the sickness, right? But I think the biggest problem is most people try to do too many things at one time, right? So, this is great what Bhakti is talking about. You get too much in your head, and then there's too many things, and then you fail because you're trying to do too many things at one time. So, I think, my advice is, the human body gives you a lot of telltales. It's almost like traffic light. They give you yellow signs, green signs, and red signs, and it tells you when something's going on, and you really need to listen to your body. Regardless if you're going to start with exercise first or diet first, just take the first step. Maybe go for a walk in the morning if you haven't been mobile for a long time. Or, if you're going to go on a diet, just try to add something healthier rather than trying to change your whole diet, add something healthy. Start eating broccoli if you never ate broccoli before. See how your body feels with that. I think it's just really important to make small changes. And then from there, listen to your body, see how your body responds to that. Well, I didn't really like broccoli, it tastes bad, but I had more energy. Well, weigh that in, what's your body actually telling you? Is your mind telling you it's bad, or is your body telling you it's good? Right. So I think for a lot of people, they plan for failure. They think this is just too hard to do. And, for us, it's take the first step. You take the first step towards your fitness, take your first step towards your nutrition, and just take one step at a time to reach your ultimate goal.
I so enjoy what you said about that, because it is about listening to our bodies and finding out what is that next thing that we need to implement. So I thank you so much for sharing that with us. And then Bhakti, can you share with us, you've given so many incredible insights, but how can our listeners find you? What is your business, and how are you helping your clients today?
Well, there's a number of different ways. First of all, the business is thebrightpath.com, and that's the international organization that I'm with. And my email address is Bhakti for Ishaya at gmail.com. And basically what we do is teach a course of, the Ascension attitudes, which are just basic techniques, powerful techniques of praise, gratitude, love, and compassion. And what they do is dissolve the root stresses in modern day life that keep us grabbing onto stuff. It gives us a choice. In that moment, we can choose one of those attitudes, dissolve that stress, and rest in that still silent place within, and make decisions from there. And there's a lot of benefits that people have had. There's a contributing editor in the book. She had been meditating for 10 years. 6 months after she learned the practice, she did so well that her that a company that she was with bought her a brand new Mercedes. And then the year after, she became the #1 recruiter with that company in the whole country. So I mean, it works in many different areas. Works with health, like Annie was talking about, because the mind rests. I mean, for 5 years before I learned this practice, I was passing a kidney stone once or twice a year. Not a good not a good experience. But I mean, I've been meditating for 20 years using other practices, but I still did that. I haven't passed one since. As far as relationships are concerned, phenomenal. Rosemary and I had a great marriage for 15 years. We both learned this practice, and it was just pure bliss. So I mean, there's things that change, just living from a different place.
Wow, what a testimonial, or two, or even three that were wrapped in there. Can you spell your name for our listeners that are listening through audio and not
Sure.
video, just so that they can connect with you as well?
Certainly. It's BHAKTI, and then the digit 4, and then it's Ishaya, ISHAYA at gmail.com.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate everything that you're doing, and what I have enjoyed about this journey is that we didn't just connect on this book project, but I know that we are connected from here on out. So I thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Yeah.
And then Andy, can you share with us about your business, and how are you helping your clients today as well?
Yes, of course. So my wife and I actually were known as the Foolish Couple, and our company is called the Focal Academy. So we basically coach people on mindset, lifestyle changes, and functional exercise and nutrition, depending where you are in your journey in life, right? So we know that everyone is in a different part of life in that journey. Some people may be at the beginning, some people may be near the end where they are. And, where we are, we're just helping them get to the next step where they want to be. So, lifestyle changes, functional nutrition, functional movement, productivity mindset. It just really depends on what they need to get where they are. My company, you can reach us at Focal Academy. That's FOCO, which stands for Foolish Couple, focalacademy.com. And my email address is andrew@thefoolishcouple.com.
I love that. What a great name to get everyone's attention. So I'm so excited to have met you. I'm sure that I will meet your wife as well. I understand that you're also in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm thinking we may not be too far away from each other. So we'll definitely stay connected even locally as well.
For sure.
Yeah, so to our listeners, these are just two of the amazing authors that are in the Fearless Entrepreneurs book that you can find at thefearlessentrepreneurs.com. What I've so much enjoyed about collaborating also is the give back factor that Linda Sunshine West has implemented with this book. And so all of the net proceeds from the Fearless Entrepreneurs book go to lemonadeday.org. And what's so incredible about this organization is that they help children learn how to run an entrepreneur business and set up their lemonade stand. I don't know about you, but I had a lot of lemonade stands growing up. And so I'm just so excited to have been a part of this project and to have met Andy and Bhakti along this journey. So if you're interested in hearing from 20 other authors, you'll want to check out this book. I always say, you find a good book, if you can get one nugget of information from that author that helps you in your personal or business life, I think that's a success. But what if you had a book that had over 20 authors and you got one nugget of information just from half of them? How would that help you along your journey? And so, Andy and Bhakti, I thank you so much for joining us. And just a congratulations. The Fearless Entrepreneurs book launched last Monday, and you all, along with myself, are #1 best-selling authors. So tell me, Andy, how does that feel? And what was your experience along this journey to becoming a #1 best-selling author?
It's very ecstatic. It's my first foray into writing something into a book. I've been looking to publish a book for the longest time, and Linda gave me an opportunity to be with all these amazing authors, and it was just very eye-opening on being #1. To be able to inspire others to be entrepreneurs, to face their fears. It's just very awesome. That's really all I can say.
Sorry, I was muted. Bhakti, can you share with us, is this your first best-selling author, or what is that for you? And how did this #1 best-selling author, how was that celebration for you?
Well, it was very unusual. First of all, I'd never published anything before. I mean, I've written a lot of emails and told stories and stuff like that, but never in a formal publication. So that was unique. And it's just been a great journey. I mean, and connecting with all the people and hearing their stories. I mean, their stories are fantastic. I mean, just your listeners should know it. Grab the book. It's inspirational. And I've gotten some ideas from some of those people that have shared. So, I mean, there's nuggets in there that are unbelievable. It's great.
That is so
Great
great.
experience.
Well, I so appreciate you both for being on our show today. I have not gotten to your chapter yet, but I'm so excited to finish my read and even learn more about you and the backstory of you being a fearless entrepreneur. So I thank you so much for being on our show today. And I know we are going to stay connected and connect further. So to our listeners, thank you so much for joining our Unshakable Courage Show. I am on a mission to help people move through their fear with courage, because I believe that no one should live in fear that's holding them back in any way in their life. So thank you again for joining us. Be sure you check out the book, thefearlessentrepreneurs.com, and we'll see you on our next show. Thank you so much and have a great day.